We have been in a series of conversations about beliefs Christians should be known for, but maybe aren't. The first week was on Jesus is Lord. The second week was resurrection is our hope. The third week is salvation is a gift. This week is you got to be reborn with the Holy Spirit. The first Christians lived by that. They died with that, and they passed that legacy on to us. So, there was a guy by the name of Nicodemus. Let's call him Nick for short. He was a religious VIP, like expert. He was what's called a Pharisee, which meant that he knew the first 5 books of the Bible and really all of the Old Testament really, really well. Jesus was gaining steam in his time. Nicodemus's friends didn't like what Jesus was up to because he was a bit of a threat to their religious way. But Nicodemus was secretly really interested in what Jesus was doing. And so he came to Jesus when nobody could make fun of him for doing it. You ever done that? You keep your faith only when people can't make fun of you for it or give you a hard time for it. He goes at night because he wants to ask Jesus some questions. Now, some people think he was on a reconnaissance mission. Like, hey, Nicodemus, you go find out what this Jesus is about and come back and tell us so we can get him into trouble. So he comes and asks him some questions, and Jesus starts speaking nonsense to him. He says, if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven, you got to be born again from above. Everybody good with that? Makes sense to you? We'd probably say what Nicodemus said. He's like, what, am I going to enter my mom's womb for a second time? And Jesus looks at him and goes, you're a teacher of Israel. I'm talking to you about like some pretty low-level stuff. How am I going to teach you about the highest level stuff? You can't even get that. He says, I tell you, unless you're born again of the water and the Spirit, you don't got a shot. We're going to spend some time thinking through that today. Jesus is not telling him, this guy, unless you go through religious rituals as I define them, you're going to, you know where. Remember, we just talked about it. For Jesus, when he talks about the kingdom of heaven, he means this. He prays, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. He says the kingdom of heaven is near. He's saying the city of God is eventually going to come to earth and everything gets remade. You enter into that right now. You live for it right now. And he's like, Nicodemus, if you're not reborn through the water and the Spirit, you're not going to enter it right now and you're not even going to get it. Jesus comes to invite us to be born again. How many of you have heard the phrase born again? All right, let's be honest. When I use the phrase born again, how does it make you feel? For those of you who've heard about it, if you haven't heard about it, better for you. Because we're going to try to redeem it a little bit today. How's it make you feel when you hear born again? If it's good, good. Say it. If not,
I like it.
Angela likes it.
I like it.
You like it. Delete the. Why don't you like it? Delete. Delise just said, I got a bad taste in my mouth because I grew up with this system where you got to say about these right things, so it's not much of a margin of error. And if you say these things, then you get to go to heaven. That's what born again means. All right? Who else?
I don't like it. When I was younger and I got baptized, that was my new life, and then I didn't want to have to feel like I had to do something else, go through some other steps in order to be born again. I felt like I had done that as a child, and that I was living this new life with Christ. And so, what else do I have to do? I kind of felt like it was, regimented.
Yeah, like there were almost like a linear process you had to go through. And even after you got baptized, you had to like maintain this born again status, like we talked about.
We have someone online that says makes me cringe.
Oh. Somebody thinks born again is cringeworthy. What else? Kirsten.
I don't like it because
It feels exclusionary. He agrees with that.
Exclusionary feeling made me feel like other people must be a member of a cult.
Makes my dad think of a cult. I asked for honesty and I got it. It feels like a churchy word that's almost got no meaning. Man, when Jesus said to Nicodemus, you got to be born again from above, he never intended for modern day Christians to grab a hold of that thing and weaponize it. Like, hey, are you born again? 'Cause I am, and you don't look like it. And if you want to get to heaven, you got to look like me, and you don't look like it. So many modern Christians, I'm in the ranks too, and I bet you are. You'd probably like to say, I'm not one of them. All of us take the best things of God and turn them into weapons. That's part of being human. You know? Jesus was inviting Nicodemus to something beautiful and eternal that happens here and now. He came to turn his world upside down because the world is not right side up. And he comes to do the same for us. I don't think anybody here would argue with me when I say the world is not right side up. Does anybody want to have a debate about that? Tyler says it's tilted a little bit. Good one. Jesus came and the early Christians grabbed a hold of this. He was saying, like, if you're going to wait to fully understand the things of Jesus before you go all in and let him change you from the inside out, you're never going to get there. It's like you got to be born again. You have to like start like a little baby again. You got to learn how to walk and talk again, but you learn and walk and talk again by the power of the Holy Spirit, God living in you. Jesus didn't say this thing so you could start labeling people around you. Okay, that person looks born again. That person not so much. That person born again going to heaven. That person not so much. I know where they're going. I hope I'm on the right side. No. Jesus is trying to get heaven inside you by the power of the Holy Spirit so that you join in the kingdom of heaven on earth mission right now. Right here, right now. I'm going to tell you one more story about something Paul went through, and then maybe we won't have any rain. A guy by the name of Paul was one of those religious VIPs like Nicodemus who met Jesus, and his world got turned upside down. Boy, he was a religious expert, Paul was. Super educated. Educated at like the Dartmouth of his time. He meets Jesus and his world gets flipped upside down, and he goes on these missionary journeys. After about 8 or 9 years, he ended up in this place called Ephesus. And he stayed there for about 3 years. Longest stay he ever had in one place. And he gets to Ephesus one time, and he meets some disciples there. And he gets there, and I imagine the Ephesians being pretty hospitable. They're new Christians. They've probably heard of Paul by this point. Paul's got a pretty good reputation in that part of the world as being a solid, spirit-filled dude. And you can imagine the scene. He gets into town, and they're like, "Hey, Paul, there's a room over here for you. There's towels in the closet," and he just cuts right to the chase. "Did you receive the Holy Spirit?" And they're like, "With a room over there, the towels and the..." What? I already put my uncle right here. I told him I was going to put him on the spot. Suffice it to say, Gus, my uncle here, has got a military background. And I'm asking him, Gus, how long would it take you if you started with a new group of folks, a new team, how long would it take you to figure out whether this team is like a fruitful team with a good culture? Would it take you 5 months, 5 weeks, 5 days, or 5 minutes?
5 minutes or less.
5 minutes or less. Why?
When you go into a group, you can sense, all human beings can sense the presence of the Spirit.
Yeah.
And this is even with groups that aren't Christian. So you can sense the presence of goodness and happiness and basically brotherhood, sisterhood. We all have the ability to sense that in the first few minutes. So first time at your church, I could walk in the parking lot. The people are smiling, the babies are having fun. It's just a good presence here, and you feel it within minutes.
Thank you, Gus. I did not rehearse that. I gave him a slight lead about 10 minutes before the service. I was going to ask him a question. That is what happened with Paul. He got to Ephesus. By this time, he's 9 years into this. He's seen a bunch of new communities. He himself has met Jesus, been filled with the Spirit. He knows what good fruit looks like and feels like, so he cuts to the chase. Did you receive the Holy Spirit? He just gets right to it. You know why? Because he doesn't sense fruit. He sensed some religion, but not Spirit-filled stuff. He says, "Did you receive the Holy Spirit?" And they're like, "We haven't even heard of the Holy Spirit." He's like, "That's what I thought." And you might say, "Oh man, he's just another religious critic or judge." No. He himself has been in religion without spirituality. We hear a ton about the spiritual but not religious right now. Paul was a guy who was religious but not spiritual. We got a lot of Christians in our day and age who are religious but not spiritual. Paul wants these folks to know the full life in Jesus that comes with the Holy Spirit dwelling inside you day to day. Where your whole world gets turned upside down and you learn to walk and talk again with the Holy Spirit living in you day by day. They're like, "We ain't ever heard of that." He goes, "What baptism did you have then?" They're like, "John the Baptist's baptism." Long story short, John the Baptist himself said, I baptize you with water, but there's one who comes after me who baptizes you with the fire and the Holy Spirit. You get refined and remade and reborn from the inside out. John's was like a preparation sort of baptism to get you ready for the real thing. Paul says the real thing has come to you. His name is Jesus, and the Spirit will teach you how to walk and talk and know the highest things of God right now. So, thanks again, Gus. I probably couldn't have illustrated that any better than you just did. Where are you today? Born again gives you a bad taste in your mouth. I get it. We've all been in a world where Christians are known for religion without the Holy Spirit. I'm not here today to give you another step like Mo's talking about. I'm not here today to say, all right, did you say the sinner's prayer? Did you get dunked in the water? Did you get the Holy Spirit? Have you stopped cussing and lying and smoking and drinking? That ain't. There's something else. There's this whole other world that Christ came to bring to us. Spiritual renewal from the inside out. God is not an outside-in kind of God. God is an inside-out kind of God. Where are you today? Would you say you're like Nicodemus coming to Jesus at night with questions? And you're trying to understand fully before you get totally dunked in it? If you're waiting for everything, for the stars to align, to understand it all before you get dunked, and I don't mean literally, but hey, if anybody wants to get dunked, we can do it.
I know, I'm getting there.
Somebody in our presence is soon to be dunked. God bless you, Mandy.
Yeah.
Mandy knows this now, though. She ain't getting dunked because it's a religious ritual. It's a symbol of something happening inside her. It's not the end, it's the beginning. Mandy's learning how to walk and talk again, and I am too. Nicodemus was waiting for it all to make sense before he got dunked. Doesn't work that way. Are you like the Ephesians? You got a whole lot of religion, but just a little bit of the Spirit. In a world that teaches you that religion is the point. They thought that they'd made it. Paul says it hadn't even begun yet. Where are you today? I think that'll do it. Only thing I'd say, I don't have any announcements today. If you're interested in getting dunked, like we just talked about with Mandy, come talk to me. If you're interested in this person of Jesus, I'm not talking about the Jesus of religion. I'm talking about the Jesus of the kingdom of heaven who brings you the Holy Spirit and remakes you from the inside out. If you want to talk about that, come talk to me. I would love nothing more. Our church is not about creating religious minions. Our church is about a Holy Spirit renewal and a mission that happens here and now. That's it.